הקדוש, בוקר אור, שבוע טוב, מסכת בבא קמא, דף נ"ב עמוד א', 52a1. Right? But we're going to start on the last line of Nun Aleph Amud Bet 51b, where it says Amar Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, which is the two dots. Yeah? Uh-huh.
I have the two.
Yeah, you've got a lot of dots. Right? Amar Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, says Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, Hamocher bait lachavero. If somebody sells a house to his friend, Kevan shemasar lo mafteach kana. Once you give him the keys, he acquires the house. Okay? So says the Gemara, Hechidami, how did he buy the house? If he bought the house with money, so likin the kaspa. So why doesn't he buy it with the money? He gives him the money, he should acquire it, you make the kinyam with the money. If it's going to be on chazaka, so he says likne bechazaka. So then it should be, he should acquire it with the chazaka. Why do we speak about the maftechot, the keys? The manashach, it's either with chazaka or with money. So what's going on? So answers the Gemara, leolam bechazaka. Really, we're talking about chazakah. Yeah, ubay lemeimale, right? But we could actually come and say, lech chazek ukni. Go and make a ma'aseh of a kinyan. Vekevan shemasar lo mafteach. So once he gave him the keys, keman da'amale lech chazek ukni dami. So it's like you're telling him, mefurash, go make a kinyan chazakah and take the house, and therefore he could actually do it even if he's not actually there. Okay? So one more time. So really, we're talking about a chazakah. Now, usually he has to tell him the words, go and acquire it, because that's the way of doing it. Because if he's going to make a chazakah and the guy's not here, so the guy's going to tell you, listen, I wasn't here to claim or to give a rebuttal or to renounce what you're doing. I wasn't here, right? That was a famous thing about a chazakah. What is the chazakah? Chazakah has to be that I'm watching you do something and I keep quiet. Because if I'm not around, that's not a proof. Imagine you come to my house and you start using my house and I'm not around. You could afterwards come and say, listen, I have a chazakah. I was here for, well, I wasn't home. You need 3 years, and then usually it has to be in front of the owner. Why? Because if not, the guy could say, listen, I would have said to everybody, what are you doing? You're robbing my house. But you're not around. I wasn't around. I didn't even know you were there. It's not a chazakah. It's not a proof. A proof has to be that I'm doing it in your face. And you still are not saying it, which is the proof that I actually bought it from you. That's called a chazakah.
Like you can't take the key and throw it in the chutzner.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what he's saying. So Amar Shakish Mishum Rabbi Yanai. Says Shakish in the name of Rabbi Yanai. Hamocher eder lachavero. If somebody comes and he sells how do you call it? It's like the group of the small animals, but it's no, not a barn. There's a better word for it. Yes, but what's the English word for eder? Eder is like
small animals. Small animals.
Yes, but what's it's a flock? No, flock of.
It says flock here.
Yeah, there you go. The flock. That's an eder. Eder and a little flock. So a flock of small animals to his friend. Kevan shemasar lo hamashkuchit. Right? He says here, since he comes and he gave him over the mashkuchit. So now this mashkuchit is something which uses to direct the flock. I don't know if you want to call it. It's a certain type of a utensil. I don't know what it is exactly. Here it says mashkuchit is something which is moshechotam, but it doesn't say what it is.
Sure.
Right? Yeah. So it's a stick. Okay. The short. He wants it's a stick. He always likes a big stick, like the big stick policy. Yeah. That he comes and he says. So therefore, what? How he wasn't even here. Right. So he says kana. So therefore, he's going to acquire it. Yeah. Okay. So says the Gemara, Hechidami. What's the case exactly? So imagine I sold my flock and I gave over this mashkuchit. So he said, what's the case? Even meshicha, right? The small animals. How do you acquire these small animals? Meshicha. You pull them. By pulling them, right? Why do you think I come and sometimes I pull people, right? I come and I pull, so I'm doing meshicha, right? On the small animals. So he comes and he says, if you're going to tell me now we're referring to meshicha, so why don't we just say that you're acquiring meshicha? If it's because you're handing them over, which is called kinyan mesira, so therefore that should also be. So then liknim mesira. What is the case exactly that you're doing a kinyan by giving over the stick? Yeah, it's like the key, the exact same thing. So answers the Gemara, leolam meshicha. Really, we're talking about that you're pulling them. But you have to actually tell them the words. Go, right? Pull, and then you're going to acquire them. But once you gave him this rod, this mashkuchit, So it's the exact same thing, like meaning like this. Even though I didn't tell him now the words, go make a chazakah, when you give a key to someone, right, and you just sold it to them, so that is the concept of making the chazakah. I mean, you don't have to say it anymore because that's the kilu, they're saying it. You're actually coming, so same thing, you're saying it over.
It doesn't seem that it's a stick because here it says.
So says the Gemara, right? So therefore, what happens is the second he gives him more the mashkuchit, it's like that he's going to come and he's going to tell him, go make this kinyan, right, with the meshicha. My mashkuchit, what is the mashkuchit? So targimu lekarkashta. So they actually said it was a zug, which is basically a pa'amon. It's like a bell. That they used to come and they used to do the bell, right? So they used to make this, like this jingles of the bells. And then what happens is what? It's for the animals, right? Exactly, right? The Rabbi is exactly it's no matim, right? So what happens? And then all the animals come, right? You ring the bells, and all the animals come.
All come.
Yeah, you see, there you go. You have it, right? We're talking about all the animals. Rabbi Yaakov comes and he says, right? What are we talking about? Iza de azla bereish edra. No, you know what it is? It's the head goat, meaning like this. There's always somebody that's usually at the head. Yeah, there's always somebody that usually is at the head. What does it mean usually at the head? There's always one that everyone follows. You understand? So many times the way it happens, you see one person, he comes, right? He wants to be the first one out on Motzei Shabbat. He wants to make Motzei Shabbat a Saturday night. So he's the first one that wants to take out Shabbat. So what happens? There's always usually the first one. So the first one, he wants to be the Amalek, right? He wants to, I want to get out of here. I want to leave Shabbat, the holy Shabbat. We were waiting for it the entire week, but he wants the first one to be out of there. So what happens? So he comes and he wants to be the first one. Many times you have followers. What does that mean? At the beginning, there's no followers, right? Why? Because there's no head. That's why many times when you chop off the head, that's it, right? Very, very important. So what happens, right? So he comes and he says, there's always this follower. Yeah? You say, 100%. Yeah, fine. Yeah. Next says the Gemara, just like there was a Galilee that he came and he was Doresh, Aled Rav Chasta in front of Rav Chasta, Kadragi Zraya Alana, when the shepherd gets angry at a sheep. Yeah, you know that the shepherd is the one that's in charge of the sheep. Yeah. But sometimes he gets angry. Sometimes they go on their phones, they go on this, so he gets them angry. So when the shepherd gets angry at a sheep, Avid Lenagoda Samuta. What does that mean? He comes, right, and he takes out the eyes of the head sheep and he makes him blind. Why? Because all of a sudden now, since the head sheep is blind, right? So what happens? He starts walking. He doesn't know where he's going. So he falls into the pits. He falls into this. He stumbles. Now, all the other ones, right? They're animals, right? They also go after him. So all of a sudden they go straight into it, and boom, and one after another. It's a whole mashal for sure. What do you think? It's a mashal. I said the mashal.
Tell him the mashal.
Yeah. So he comes and he says, so too, Hakadosh Baruch Hu, he comes and he says, by the way, right? When you have a whole flock, right? They're going to be, so Hakadosh Baruch Hu is going to do the same thing. When he wants to pay back from Sonem Shel Yisrael, he comes and he places them people which are not fitting. Leaders which are not fitting. Yeah? What does that mean? And then they go right afterwards.
Catastrophe.
Yeah. You understand? 100%. Yeah? Very, very good. And therefore, obviously, bad things start occurring. Okay? Fine. Mishnah Nun Bet Amud Aleph. Says the Mishnah. Yeah? He says like this. Kisau Arishon Uba Sheni Umetzao Megule. Velo Kisau. Hasheni Chayav. So this one is actually very interesting. If you remember last time, the last Mishnah we said, imagine right now you have two partners, right? And they have a pit. And the first partner didn't cover the pit. And the second partner didn't cover the pit. And we said that the second one is Chayav. And we asked, why? They said, no, because the second one was the one that he saw, yeah, but the first one also, he has to cover the pit. So we answered that the first one left the second guy using it. And since the second guy was using the pit, so therefore that's why, okay, fine. Now it was another case. The first guy comes, uses the pit. He's half owner. Remember, he's a partner. And he covers it. The second guy comes, starts walking by. And what happens? And all of a sudden, he comes and he sees, right? He comes and he sees that the pit is uncovered. Now, how did I uncover it? We don't know. But it was uncovered. Now, he didn't uncover it. So therefore, the second guy is going to be chayav. So I would have said,
only if he uses it.
Right? So I would have said,
not if he passes by it.
Yeah, 100%. So he says here, right? He says the second guy is going to be chayav. The first guy is going to be patur. Okay, fine. Kisau karaui. Yeah, he comes and he says like this. Kisau karaui. What happens if
The first one or the second one?
which one?
Kisau karaui. Who's the kisau?
Balabor. We're not saying the first guy or second guy now. Now we're saying Balabor. Balabor came, the owner of the pit comes and he covers it properly. And still, after covering it properly, nafal letocho shor chamor. There's always going to be a hamor that will still fall in it even though it's covered properly. Yeah, there's always a hamor. Yeah? So he says, nafal letocho shor o chamor, umet. He dies. It's going to be patur. Why is he going to be patur?
Because he covered.
Listen, he covered it. What do you want? He did everything. Loki salkar. What happens if he didn't cover it properly? And then came the shor chamor died. It's going to be chayav. Obviously, he didn't cover it properly. What do you want? Okay, fine. Very good. Next part of the Mishnah. Nafal lefanav mikol akriya. What happens if the shore is walking on its path and it falls inside of it, right, on its face? I don't know why here. Let's see the footnote here. What does it say? Okay, look at Rashi. Nafal lefanav.
Expanding
Yeah, he's expanding the pit, and the shore comes and he starts hearing all the noise of the construction, and he basically fell into it because of the kol kriya. So then he's going to be chayav l'shalem et hanezek. Yeah, he's going to be chayav le'acharav if it's going to be backwards, right? And he's basically like mamash backwards. So therefore he's going to be patur. Very interesting, right? And he's following. That's what kavanah al panam means forwards, and right is going to be backwards. That he felt like this backwards.
it startled him.
Yeah. Okay, fine. Then the Mishnah is going to come and the Mishnah is going to say, Nafal letocho shor vekelav nishtabru, right? Chamor vekelav nitkareu. So if you remember, we said this. If shor and kelim, the ox and utensils fall inside, right, and then they break, or if it's going to be chamor vekelim v'nitkareu and then it tore, chayav ala behema, it's going to be chayav ala behema, upatur ala kelim, and it's going to be patur on the kelim. Okay. Nafal letocho shor cheres shoteh vekatan. If it fell inside a shore of a cheres shoteh vekatan, he's going to be chayav to pay the nezek. Ben o bat o eved o ama, patur. Now, if it's so again one more time, if you remember, we already mentioned that on the kelim you're going to be patur. You remember inside of the pit. Okay, now he says if it came out, if it fell ashore, which the shore is a cheresh or shoteh or katan, he's still going to be chayav. Meaning, don't say right that because these shores obviously they don't have that. It's a shore cheresh, it's a deaf mute shore, or it's a shoteh, or it's a katan.
Well, so what is a shore that's intelligent? What is that?
No, meaning a normal shore, not a shore which is 100% tipesh. Okay? Meaning you could tell, just like a human being. You could tell this is a normal human being and this is a tipesh, this is a shoteh, the same thing.
לא ראיתי שור חכם.
הוא לא צריך להיות... אתה יודע מה, אני אגיד לך סוד, לא ראיתי גם הרבה אנשים חכמים. Let's go. בן או בת, yeah? בן או בת, עבד או אמה, פטור. It doesn't have to be חכם. It just said he's not a שוטה.
לא, הכוונה שאני אומר, לא ראיתי שור חכם. Any ox is...
No, it's not true. An ox is not a שוטה. An ox knows exactly what he's doing. An ox knows exactly what he's doing.
כלב זה אינטליגנט, דוג.
No, שור also. שור also. ידע שור קונהו, וחמור אבוס בעליו. The shore knows its master. The shore knows a lot. The shore knows a lot. Don't worry about the shore. I'm not worried about a shore. The shore knows exactly
I
what
got
he's
a
doing.
dog at home. I call him. He sits there and looks at me. He won't budge.
That's what he's
He should
disobedient.
go right to the pound.
100%, Richard. You should just put a bullet to its head and that's it. Yeah, fine. So says like this. Yeah, says ben o bat oeved o ama patur. He says like this. He says when you have a minor or a girl or a boy or an Evet Kenani or an Ama that falls into the pit and dies, the balabor is going to be patur for the nezek. Fine. Says the Gemara. Everyone with me? Gemara. Okay. Verishon ad imat niftar. Right? Basically, until when is the first guy going to be patur? That the second guy is going to be chayav, which means when does it switch responsibilities from the first owner to the second owner? So Amar Rav says, Bichdei sheyeda. Right? What does that mean? the Rishon is going to be patur when the other guy comes and he already knows about it, which means that as long as he does not see that the board is meguleh, so it's only going to be the chiyuv on the second guy. But after he already sees that it's already broke or that something happened, now the chiyuv goes back also on both of them equally, which means like this. I'm the first owner. Yeah? Atem shomim. I'm the first owner. Yeah, I come and I cover it. Right? Comes the second owner.
Yeah.
Right? He was so busy, he didn't even see that it's uncovered. No, so he sees that it's uncovered.
Yeah.
Right? And then what happens is, he's always going to be chayav usually. Right? We always like the second guy is going to be chayav. Right? Fine. So he's going to be chayav. What happens is, when am I chayav? So he says, you know what, because I actually came and I covered it properly. So why would I be chayav? He says, no. The second that I found out that it wasn't covered properly, which means that something happened to the cover, whatever happened, but it doesn't matter, but something happened to the cover, then I'm also going to be chayav equally to him. So now we're both partners again.
First and second guy?
First and second guy. Yeah, we're both partners again. Okay? Makes sense. Yeah? That's the first shita of Rav. Shmuel says, yeah, Bigdesh yodiuhu. Yeah? He says, Bigdesh yodiuhu. What does that mean exactly? He says that it's enough that people are going to tell him. Okay? What does that mean? That other people are going to tell him, and once they tell him, even though he didn't even see it himself, because the first one was Kedei Sheyeda, which means it's mashma that he actually sees it. Here it's even without seeing it. Just the fact that somebody tells me, that's already enough. Rabbi Yochanan says, Bichtesh Yodiyuhu, right? So Rabbi Yochanan comes and he says, in order to tell him, just like the Shitav Shmuel, but he adds, Shiskor Poalim Vichrot Arazim Vichasenu, which means that afterwards it's enough time that he's basically able to get workers to come and to fix the problem. Okay, that means it's not only just enough to tell him, it's enough to tell him, but that he's able to fix the problem. Because if he's not able to fix the problem, so what do you want from him? He wasn't able to do anything. Okay, makes sense. Yeah? Fine.
Most of us don't like that.
Fine. Yeah, says the Mishnah, 2 dots. Okay, we're by the 2 dots. So the 2 dots says, Kisau karoi, if you covered it properly, right? And then all of a sudden it came into it, a shor chamor, and then it dies. So it's going to be patur. Kevan te kisau karaui, hechi nafal. Says 1 second. If it fell properly, yeah,
It wasn't covered.
so then how did it fall? If it was covered properly, how did it fall inside? So Amar Rabbi Chana shitzlia mitocho, meaning you covered it properly, but all of a sudden, sometimes it happens that all of a sudden, okay, here it's not the really worms; they call them termites, right? What happens with termites? You could look at a frame, or you could look at a door, and it looks perfect, and really, there's nothing there. Because basically it's just waiting to fall because the termites came, they devoured everything, and there's nothing really there. So you think it's a good door, and all you need is one boom and gamanu, kaddish. You understand? There's nothing left. So the exact same thing. Okay? So he says over here, right, that hitzli'a. So they used to call them tolaim. I don't know, maybe it was the same thing, but they used to call them tolaim. The tolaim would be on the inside and would eat it all up, and therefore basically cannot withhold. So you covered it properly, but you didn't realize that inside was completely tolaim and everything, and therefore that's it. Okay? Ibailehu. So okay, fine. So they ask the following question: Kisau kisui shiachol la'amod lifne shvarim ve'eno yachol la'amod lifne gemalim ve'atu gemalim ve'aruha ve'atu shvarim ve'nafli bei mai. Imagine right now you came and you put a cover. Now this cover that you put could withstand ox, but it could not withstand camels. Now what happened was camels came and they passed by. So therefore they damaged, right, this cover. Because remember, the cover was not good for camels, it was only good for ox. So when the camels passed by, they made it very, very weak, right, this cover. And then when the shvarim came, it broke. Because before, and if it was only the ox that came, it would have withstood it. But now that the camels came and they damaged, right, this cover, so now when the ox comes and it's going to fall in. So what's halacha? So ask the Gemara, Amri hechidam, what's the case? If you're going to tell me that there's common, that there's going to be camels there, posheahum. So he's a posheah. Now if you're going to tell me that it's not common to have these camels there, anusu. So he's an anus. So what do you want? So answers the Gemara, what are we dealing with then? The atu liprakim, that the Gemalim, they come once in a while. What does it mean once in a while? He comes and he says, Mi amrina, do we say, since they come once in a while, he's a poshe'ah? Yeah, a person that comes once in a while is a poshea. He's negligent.
Hey,
Yeah. So he says, he should have paid attention. Yeah, let's put a sign, something, whatever. Yeah. Or Dilma, or maybe Kevan de Hashta Miat Leka. Since at the end of the day there's no Gimalim, so then Anusu. Because one more time, since right now there was no Gimalim, meaning when he came and he covered it, there was no Gimalim. So therefore he covered it. He didn't think it was going to be coming. Now Gimalim sometimes do come, but what's going to happen? So he says, so therefore so he's Anus. So we don't have an answer. So says the Gemara, let's see. So says the Gemara, Tashema. Let's come and try to bring a proof. Kisahu karaui. If they covered him properly, and it came and fell in a shor or a chamor, and he dies, it's going to be patur. Hechidami, what's the case exactly? Ilema, if you're going to tell me now, karaui l'shvarim v'karaui l'gemalim, that it was fitting for the shvarim and fitting for gemalim. So hechi naful. So how did it fall then? How did it fall? Right, the shore or the chamor into the pit. But if you're going to tell me now that it's going to be karaui for both, so then how does it fall inside? Does it make sense? Elalav, but rather karaui l'shvarim, it was fitting only for the ox, right? Nun bet amud bet 52b. Velo karaui l'gemalim, but it wasn't fitting for the gimalim. Okay, the shchiach gimalim. Now, if you're going to tell me now that it's shchiach for the gimalim, it's common for the gimalim. Amai, why is the balabor going to be patur? Poshea, who is Poshea. Videlo shchiach gimalim. If you're going to tell me it's not shchiach the gimalim, pshita obviously anusu. So he's an anus. Ela lav, but rather the atyan leprakim, they come once in a while. The atu gimalim varua. So the gimalim came and they made it so weaker. The atu shvarim and aflu and then the shvarim came and they fell. Uktani patur. We still know he's going to be patur. Almas, you see from here, Kevin Dashta Leka, since right now, the time when you're covering the pit, there's no Gemalim, Anusu. So basically, we wanted to bring a proof from a Braita that we wanted to say that Behemet is going to be Patur in such a case. Why was your Anus? Why? Because you don't have to expect that the camels are always going to come. Yes. So they said, no, it's not true. That's not the explanation. Why? Leolam, really Behemet, really Behemet, we're talking about where you covered it properly. So you asked, so how did it fall? If you covered it properly also for the camels and also for the ox, so how did it fall inside? The same answer we answered before. The termites came, or whatever you want to call them exactly, they came in and they destroyed the entire thing. And therefore, that's why, right, it actually broke. Okay? Tashema, we're going to bring another proof now. Lo kisau karaui. Right? What happens right now if you did not cover it properly? And it came in, it fell in a shor, a chamor, and it died. So you're going to be chayav. Hechidami, what's the case? Ilema, if you're going to tell me now, you didn't do it at all, shit, obviously you're going to be chayav. You have to say that you're going to be chayav. If you come and you covered it, and it wasn't a good cover for nothing, so anything that goes over it is going to break. So that's not a good cover. And Allah, rather, it was fitting for shvarim and not for gemalim. What's the case exactly? If you're going to tell me now that it was common for gemalim, so then it's going to be poshea. And now if you're going to tell me it's not shchiach for the gemalim, anusu, so it's going to be anus. Ella, but rather, ella the atyan liprakim, that they come once in a while. The atu gemalim varuhu. The gemalim came and they made it ra'ua. They made it very, very bad. The atu shvarim and aflube. And then that means they damaged it. And then the shvarim came and they fell inside. And we learned, right, chayav. Almas, you see from here, given that in the prakim, since he come once in a while, he's a posheau. So here now we're trying to bring a braita, but the other way around. Remember, Tashema is always trying to bring a braita, and now we're trying to bring the braita the other way around. They're really bad, even if the gemalim only come once in a while, the guy's still going to be chayav. Yeah? So he says, Leolam, really be'emet, karaui l'shvarim, lo karaui l'gemalim. Really be'emet, no, that's not the explanation. Really be'emet, you covered it fitting for shvarim and not for the gemalim. The shriche gemalim, and it's a place where it's common gemalim. So, you asked it's a poshea. Says, no, I did the nasiv reisha, right? Since we said in the beginning, kisau karaui, nasiv seva nami, right? Lo kisau karoi, that you didn't do it properly, which means, right, that really be'emet, even though be'emet, it's not a big chidush. You're right, but since the Reisha, you already brought this down, so you brought down the opposite case in the Seifa, even though it's no real chidush, because obviously if you didn't cover it properly, kamarnu. So to here, you didn't cover it properly. Why? Because camels are common, and if the camels are common to come here, so obviously you didn't cover it properly. But still, right, they gave it to you. Okay, fine. Another ikadamra. Remember, an ikadamra means that we're going to have another version of the Gemara. Okay, right? So another version. So the other version says ikadami hanami. Here also vadai loi baelan. Right? For sure, we do not have right this case, right? Of that there wasn't a safek whatsoever. The kevan da atya leprakim, because since they come once in a while, poshea, it's considered a poshea. Yeah, the baile, right? The baile la sukedat, because you should have come and you should have paid attention to it. Ki bailan hachi, right? Udi bailan. So that which we had a safek. The safek was ki sau kisu sheyachol la'amod bifnei shvanim, ve'eni yachol la'amod bifnei gemalim, ushchichi gemalim, v'itlia mitucho mahu. What happens like this? You covered it. You only covered it in a way that only ox are going to be protected, not the camels, right? And there are camels. So now if I stop right here and you only covered it for ox and not for camels, and camels are common, what should be the halacha? You should be chayav. It's pshia, obviously. But remember, you had the termites come and they destroyed it as well. What's the halacha? Do I say, listen, since he was already poshea, he was negligent because of the gemalim, so therefore he's also pshia to do with the termites, meaning, okay, it was a different reason, but at the end of the day, he was already negligent because it wasn't enough even for the gemalim. So already it was a negligent thing. You're right, the termites was not really in the equation. Yeah, but he's already negligent. Or Dilmar, maybe am I going to say, right, lo amnina migu. We do not say migu. What does that mean? We don't say this concept of amigu, right? That since he was poshea, right? For one thing, he's going to be poshea for everything else. Fine. So Tashima, we're going to try to bring a proof then. Kisau karaui. If you covered it properly, and a shor chamor comes inside and it dies. Patur, you're going to be patur. So we're going to come and we're going to say, Amar Yitzchak bar Chana says Yitzchak bar Chana, sheitlia mitocho. That again, you have the termites. So he says, hey, Chidami, what's the case exactly? If you're going to tell me now that it's fitting for the ox and it's fitting for the gemalim as well, so if it's going to be because of the termites, what can he do with the termites? He didn't even know about it. He didn't know. Right? He says, says it's only covered, it's fitting for the ox, but not for the camels. And the camels are common. So he says, and the camels are going to be common. Right? And you had the termites, and we said it's going to be patur. Almas, you see from here, so he says, since he's already poshea for one, he's a poshea for both. That's what we're saying. He's poshea for both. He's negligent on both accounts. So says the Gemara, no. Leolam, really be'emet, karawi legemalim v'karawi l'shvarim. Really, be'emet, it's fitting for gemalim and it's fitting for shevarim. Right? And really, be'emet, there was the worms inside of it. Yeah? So when you're going to ask now, that when you're going to come and you're going to have the tolaim, so what should you have done? I would have thought to say, right, that he should have actually come and he should have actually, yeah, he comes and he says that he should have come once in a while to check. Meaning, once in a while, come, knock, and check. Yeah? No, don't check out. Yeah? Yes, you check. Why? You check if it's going to be a thing. Yeah? So he says, Kamash Malan comes to teach you by the Mishnah that you don't have to check, that you're not obligated to check the kisu. Meaning like this, you don't have to start checking every single time. Because the truth is, if you actually say that, you could say that on everything. Imagine every single time I would have to check everything to make sure that there's no tolai, there's the things. That's powerful. Yeah? Fine. Tasheman, next proof. If you didn't cover it properly, and it fell inside of it, whether it's going to be a shor or chamor and then it dies, you're going to be chayav. What's the case exactly? If you're going to tell me, no, you didn't do it fitting for nothing, you have to say that he's going to be chayav. Elalav, but rather, karoi l'shvarim v'lo karoi l'gemalim. It was fitting for the shvarim and not for the gemalim. The yidishchichi gemalim. So you're going to tell me now that it's going to be common for the gemalim. Posheahu. That's considered a pshia. V'idilo shchichi gemalim. Now you're going to tell me it's not shchiach gemalim. So he says anusu. So there's going to be anus. Elalav, but rather shchichi gemalim. Yitzilem etchov. V'ktani chayav. We still say you're going to be chayav. Almas, you see from here, just like you're going to be negligent for the camels, you're negligent for the tla. Again, each time we're bringing the braitas and we're trying to bring a proof to one of the sides, do we say migu that since you're already negligent to one, I throw on the negligent on side number two, or not? You understand? So, for example, I'll just give you a very simple case, right? I come and I gave Richard to watch over something, yeah, and what happens is that Richard, he's negligent. He leaves it uncovered. Now, I would have said it's negligent for, let's say, for example, for robbers or some of that. Negligent. He left it out. People come, they're going to come and steal. There's these porch robbers, whatever. So he's negligent. But all of a sudden came some type of a hurricane and I don't know what, and just like blew it up. So now you're going to tell me, listen, he wasn't expecting that. You know, like me, like that was
tornado.
Yeah, tornado, whatever it is.
Common.
Okay, fine. Right. So he says at the end of the day, since I'm going to say that he was negligent mitzad echad, do I say he's also negligent mitzad sheni or not? That's what the Gemara is asking. So Amri, so the Gemara says no. Leolam, really, Bemet, what are we talking about? Really, you covered it, something which is fitting for the ox, but not fitting for the camels. And the camels are common. So the camels came and they made it bad. So the shvarim came and it fell. That which they asked, Pshita, obviously, Posheahu is Poshea. I did the Nasi Reisha, since in the beginning it's written Kisau Karaui, Nasi Sefanami, right? Lo Kisau. So therefore, it was just we mentioned it, that since in the Reisha we already brought down that if you actually covered it properly, that he has to actually come and pay. So he said in the Seifa, right, that he didn't cover it properly. Even Bemet, it's not a Chidush, obviously he didn't cover it properly because it wasn't even enough for the Gemalim. The Gemalim are common. It's common for the camels to come. So Tashema, we're going to try to bring another proof now. Nafal letocho shor cheresh shotev vekatan. Suma. Right? V'mehalech balayla. Imagine right now a shore comes and falls inside of it. But the shore was either a cheresh, deaf mute, shoteh, not 100% there, katan, a small shore, suma, blind, mehalech balayla, are going in the nighttime. Chayav, he's going to be chayav. Okay? So he's going to be chayav. Pikeach u'mehalech bayom patur. So if he was going to be a pikeach and he's going during the daytime, it's going to be patur. The Gemara asks, Amai, why? Neima, why don't we just say midahavi poshea linyan cheresh? Since he's going to be considered a poshea to do with cheresh, havani poshea linyan pikeach. So he's going to be a poshea to do the pikeach as well. And the lav shema mina, but rather we actually coming to say that we do not say the migu. And since we do not say the migu, so therefore we don't say that the migu because of one thing is the other shema mina. And that's how we're actually finishing off, which means we're actually finishing off that we don't say a migu for one thing for another thing. Meaning not because you were negligent on A, negligent on B. On B, Bemet, you're honest. You're force majeure. You didn't even know about it. So anything to do with the termites, you were force majeure. You're not obligated in that. We don't say this migu. If the first thing, yes, but not on this migu. Okay? Have a wonderful day.